It's your boy Lil Haiti Films. Today we're live with DJ Cuzzo.
Now, when did you start Lil Haiti Films?
Started Lil Haiti Films, I would say 2013. 2013.
Now, was it you yourself that started it, or did you have a group of people?
Uh, it was something that I decided to start for myself because I didn't like the way before Lil Haiti I was doing the acting. I didn't like the way the game was going, so I just decided to do my own little thing. So, but more behind the scene, get other talents. So I started it. I was talking about it 2013. Kept talking about it, and I want to say I was living in Adams District, Los Angeles. I remember my Hispanic friend. He, you know, cool guy. He kept every day I kept talking about it. He kept hearing me talk about Lil Haiti Films. I'm gonna start a production company, but never had a camera. And I remember one day he came to the house. He was like, hey, he knocked on the door. He was like, hey, I let him in. He's like, hey, you always talk about starting Lil Haiti Films. Here's a camera. And I was like, where'd you get the camera from? And he was like, don't worry about it. Just start Lil Haiti Films. And from there, I was just like, okay. I had a decent camera, and I looked out, a little something, and had the camera, but wasn't really doing anything. But here and there, I would take little, videos. It wasn't until 2017 I was more active, like filming.
All right. So when did you move to Cali, actually?
I moved to Cali back in 2005. Yeah, me and three of my friends, Franz St. Louis, Emil Pinon, Howard Garcia, we all met back in 2003. I want to say 2003. I met Franz first. Met Franz in 2003 on set of a film, and after that, Franz was like, "What's next?" And we kept talking about, what's next after this. We always like, "What's next in life?" And one day, Franz was like, "Let's go to Cali." I was like, "Cali," and I was like, "I don't know." And after that, I was like, the next day, I was 24, and I was like, let's do it. So for 1 year, we just talked about going to Cali with no money. We wasn't working. We both got fired from our jobs. Besides, the movie and stuff like that, we got offset, and we wasn't working, 9 to 5. So it was like, how are we gonna get to Cali with no money? So we talked about it. Franz brought two other people aboard, Emil Penov, Howard Garcia. So I met Howard and Emil through Franz. So we all was like, we're gonna go to Cali. So 2004 going to 2005, on January 1st, we all was like, let's go to Cali, but nobody had no money. So I went to Franz's house. I told my mother that I was going to Cali. My mother thought I was going to Cali, but I didn't have any money. Went to Franz's house and stayed at Franz's house, and Franz was like, I'm not going to Cali. Emil was like, we don't know how we're gonna get to Cali. Howard was like, he don't know how he's gonna get to Cali. So, and I was like, I gotta get to Cali. I can't go back home. My mother thinks I'm going to Cali. This whole year we talked about going to Cali. So, last moment, Franz was like, all this we've been doing, trying to get all this, we could get even more through sponsorship. And he was like, do you know anybody that would sponsor you? I was like, I was like, to think, I was like, a doctor. This doctor I know. And he was like, call him, see if he could help you out. Called him. To make a long story short, I called him. He was like, how can I help you? I was like, a one-way ticket to LA. And he was like, he saw the film that me and France worked on the year before. And he was like, I want to sponsor, I want to invest in your dreams. So he bought me a one-way ticket to LA. And France was like, what did he say? I was like, he bought me a ticket. And I'm going to Cali. Went to Grand Central, about to get on the train. The train was delayed. And France called me while he was at his house. He was like, what happened? You in Cali? You got on the train? I was like, the train was delayed. And France said, I'll never forget this moment. That's what brings me and France so close. France said, yo, hold that train. I'm coming with you. And France got on that train, and me and France got on that train. France had somewhere to stay, somebody's house, and me, I was staying at a hostel. Stayed in a hostel, shared a big room with 60 people. That was 2005, getting to Cali. Yeah, and a lot of other things escalated. You know, I guess it's just me. I moved fast, and when I was younger, I had that drive. So within that time, I moved to the hostel. France was living in Van Nuys. I was living in Venice Beach. Of all places to live on, I was living right off the beach at a hostel. So besides the doctor, the gentleman that funded me the one-way ticket to LA, one-way ticket, and I had $50 left. So when I went to LA, I was down to $50. So most of that money was used to stay 5 days at the hostel. So when my 5 days was up, I called France while France was staying in Van Nuys. I said, France, my 5 days is up. I might be in the street doing whatever I gotta do to make that money. And he was like, yo, I think I know somebody that might help you. She might let you stay for 7 days. And 7 days, and her name was Bethany, actress, and I called her. She lived in Santa Monica. So went to her place, stayed there for 7 days. I'm gonna keep this short. Within that 7 days, I had a job working at a restaurant. And within that day, went back to the hostel. Within that month at the hostel, the owner at the hostel offered me free housing. So I was working in a restaurant and free housing, food and shelter. So within that time, I bought one of the delivery cars from the restaurant. So met up with France in Van Nuys. Now I'm able to travel. So met up with France, and now we're like, we didn't come to Cali to work for anybody. Let's start our own business. So I quit the restaurant, and we started our own cleaning service. We started cleaning houses. We put ads on Craigslist, started cleaning houses for $60 a room, $60 a house, for a 1-bedroom. We did that for some time, and after that, one day we got into a little situation where we cleaned a lady's house, and the lady was like, you forgot to clean the carpets. And we was like, we're not carpet cleaners, we're house cleaners. And the next day I was like, France, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. I might have to go back to the restaurant. I didn't wanna, you know? So I remember I also had to work at the hostel in order to get free housing. I had to work 16 hours a week to get free housing at the hostel. So one night, as I was getting off my shift, this gentleman came at the hostel putting up ads for, you know, jobs that he was looking for people to work for him. So I saw this guy, and I was like, he's like, you know anybody's working or looking for a job? I was like, what kind of job? He was like, carpet cleaning. I was like, wow. He's like, if you want, you could work with me for 6 months, pick up the business and do what you got to do, and that's it. I did exactly that. Worked, you know, picked up the carpet cleaning business, did that. Still doing that for 15 years, still in business, got jobs with pretty much everywhere. And within that time, I was like, you know, I'm still doing carpet cleaning and pursuing acting. So I didn't like the way the acting was going. After just joined SAG, so you had a lot of actors who call themselves actors, but really I want to say reality TV actors. I don't consider that. That's like disrespect for me. You know, it's like I went to school for this. Like I'm still paying college fees for this. It's like, you know, so I did my own thing. To make a long story short, did my own thing, Little Haiti Films, and all these little small businesses is providing for me to keep everything going, and I'm still doing this and also filming.
Cool, man. So let's go back. When you were in New York, what was the job that role you played? You said were you in France, I believe.
Everyday people.
Everyday people. Now tell me about that. What kind of production was that?
Well, that was a big production, HBO, and when HBO does project, they go big. They spend a lot of money. It was a big production, and I'm you know I'm one of those people that I've never been lucky. I had to grind and had to get it myself. So even when I went through the audition route, uh, usually I don't get it. You know, I have to prove a lot, or I have to go through something. So I accepted that maybe that's my whatever I got to go through in life. So how I got everyday people was actually volunteering. You know, one day I was working in I was working at a I was 20 years old. I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car, and I was also working at a movie theater, and in between then, I've always been one to work a lot of jobs and do all that. So in between then, I was like, let me take some time out to still time out and work on acting, because I'm giving too much to something that I don't really like. A 9 to 5, it pays you, but that's not my passion, you know. But I want to do it when I acted. So one day I was like, let me look at it. You know, I picked up a newspaper, looked at the ad. I was like, looked at casting agencies, and I picked up an ad, and I saw NYC casting. It was Lower East Side. So I was like, let me go out and just ask her if she wants some help. I'll be an assistant. So I went there, knocked on the door, and she was like, wow, you look so familiar. You look like someone I helped out last week in that book. She was like, she was like, yeah. To make a long story short, she was like, call me tomorrow if I need your help. I'll let you know. So I called her the next day, and she did need my help. She was casting for the John Leguizamo movie, and she was like, I need you to come in right now. There's a bunch of people from, ironically, Maryland. There's a bunch of actors from Maryland. They drove out here from Maryland, New York, and I want you to sign their paperwork and do all this. And I'm taking pictures, doing all that, and and she was like, I'm gonna put you on set, and she put me in that film as a stand-in for Omar Miller, the gentleman for 8 Mile and Eminem movie, and he's way taller than me, so she has a lot of pull. So she was like, I think that guy's like 6'6", and I'm 6'1", and you're supposed to, if you're a stand-in, you're supposed to be the same height. So she found her way to put me in that film. Then after that, I would say within a month of helping her out as an assistant, she said, I have a project that's coming out, HBO. It's called Brooklyn. I'm gonna put you in it. I was like, okay. Later on, that movie, the name of the movie changed to Everyday People. But all that came from Lower East Side. If it was in Lower East Side, I probably wouldn't even be in Cali, because Lower East Side sparked it off. Lower East Side sparked it off from me meeting France. France going, saying, yo, let's go to Cali, and starting the cleaning service and starting Little Haiti Films, and it's beyond. You know, eventually do more web series, and it's endless. But definitely Lower East Side. And ironically, she lives in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And she used to be a big time singer in the 70s. And yeah, people Google her. She did the casting for Finding Forrester. Actually, when I came into the house, and she was like, you look so familiar, like somebody that, and it was the gentleman from Finding Forrester. She casted that guy from Finding Forrester, and she said, you reminded me of that Rob, that's his name, Rob from Finding Forrester. He came in looking to do extra work, trying to pay, I think, a cell phone bill, something like that. She was like, I think I can help you get the, I can help you read the scripts. Then I think he went to the callback, the producer meeting, then the book. Sean Connery, then your life change. You know.
All right. So where did you grow up exactly?
Grew up in Brooklyn. Moved to Brooklyn in 1987. Actually, my first year I lived in Park Slope. Then I moved to Crown Heights in '88. And from '88, lived in '88 to 2002.
So what was life like growing up in Brooklyn?
Tough. I think regardless, living in Brooklyn is tough, but being Haitian, even more tough. Because there's this whole thing about, yo, if you Haitian, you gotta get picked on. And I got picked on just for being Haitian. But eventually you gotta fight back, you know?
All right, so what are some projects you're currently working on right now?
I think the question is, what am I not working on? And I'm doing a lot of I want to say guerrilla music video filming. I'm meeting people and filming their videos within 5 hours. And I'll be in the state and I'll go dissect that state within, and just who I know in that state, meet with them. Yo, what you doing? You're an artist. You sing. You do this and that. Film their video. Next, this and that, and because I think Little Haiti has a lot to prove. I've been talking about Little Haiti, and everybody's like, okay, you've been taking pictures here and there. Like, what do you have? And I'm like, okay. So now I'm. This is the build up. I'm building something so I could show. So later on, you could be like, okay, that's what you're about.
Cool. All right, so tell me about your clothing line.
Yeah, the clothing line. Well, when I got to Cali, I got into this little bug. Every year, I was starting little businesses. I started the cleaning service, this and that, and I always wanted to do a clothing line. And I said to myself, I'm not just gonna do it just to do it. It got to be right. There's got to be a meaning behind it. And as soon as one day I was like, that's it, my grandmother. And it's Amib Casimir. The Creole pronunciation is Amib Casimir. But when I put it out there, some people was like, amiable cashmere, and some people was like, Amibel Casimir. And to be honest, I'm okay with it all, But deep within my heart is, it's my grandmother. Without my grandmother, my mother wouldn't get that help for me to be here. So there's a lot of meaning behind it, and it's gonna be here for some time, Whether there's a store, whether it's just me wearing it, I made that decision to stop wearing other people's clothing and wear my own clothing, something that means something. And I got style, and I'm creating a style where people are like, damn, like, what's up? Can I get a piece of that? But that's when I'm taking it, But grandmother, Amib Casimir, there's a lot of personal stuff that I can't say about it, detail, but I'll say my grandmother, her name has to I gotta put her name out there because she went through some stuff, and it can't just, you can't just be brushed under the table like that, But I got when I came up with the name, and I was like, okay, I got the name now. What's next? So I went on Craigslist. I love Craigslist. Craigslist is my little thing. And I put an ad. I was like, who could do an ad for $30? Who could do a logo for $30? And somebody from Portland, Oregon was like, yo, I could do an ad for $30. Just cash at me, so and so. So I did that. They came up with the logo. It was a hanger. I was like, ooh, that's catchy. I was like, I like that. They put the name on the side. I was like, ooh. So I went with it. So I was like, what's next? I was like, how can I get the logo on a shirt? So I went downtown LA. I looked at a couple of shirts. I got a couple of colors. Picked up like 20 shirts. Then I was like, okay, there's another location in Culver City that steam pressed the logo on. So I went there, got that. So I had 20 shirts now. So now I'm like, okay, let me start an Instagram. I got the logo. I got shirts now. Put pictures on Instagram. So all I had was a shirt, logo on that. That's it. So I remember within that time, ironically, this is God. Somebody calls me and said, "Yo, we're doing a fashion show with short designers. Can you come out?" I was like, "I'll be honest with you. I'm not a real designer. I just started this." And he was like, "How long did you start this?" I was like, "A week." It was like, "Yo, can you provide shirts for the models?" I was like, "Yeah, I have 20 shirts." He was like, "Yo, just give the models the shirt and you could do the show." So I was like, cool. And I had little Haiti, me and the camera, just me holding the camera, that camera. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna pay somebody to hold that camera and record me while I come out with the models on the fashion show. That person never shows up. So what I did is I had a tripod and I put the camera and I was recording the whole show. And when the models came out with my shirt, I ran in the background, came out. So little Haiti, me, with the camera, was recording me coming out with the models wearing my grandmother's clothing. So I went through some little X, Y, and Z, keep it short. I ended up coming across a store on Slauson Avenue. So I got the T Manual family, let me say it right, T Manual family backing me up on Slauson Avenue. That's all I need to say. And we're gonna keep pushing it, So other than that, it's just I got the right people behind me. I got my grandmother's spirit behind me. Like, ain't nobody stopping this. My only competition is myself. Only person that could stop me is myself. Only person that could stop me is me saying I can't do this. But other than that, just keep going. I'm learning all the things, all the risks that I've been doing, all the risks that I've been taking, and people are saying, "Yo, that's entrepreneur trades. Like, you don't realize, like, you're a natural entrepreneur." And sometimes I don't sit back to look at it, but I think I'm not where I need to be, So there's no need to turn back.
Or so, what were things like exactly around the '60s when Nipsey died?
I'll be honest with you. The whole situation with Nipsey, I know about Nipsey from a friend who was murdered. My best friend, my best Cali friend in LA, James Jackson, aka Sporty J. I remember when I moved to California, through carpet cleaning, I started carpet cleaning, going to different locations. I met a friend, James, in 2007. I want to say I met James in 2007, and a year later, he was like, "Yo, my homie from high school, he raps. You should, check him out." I was like, "What's his name?" He's like, "Nipsey Hussle." I was like, "He raps about the gang stuff?" He was like, Nah, he raps about other stuff." I was like, "Okay, I'll check him out." But I didn't check him out. And whenever I go check James would always be playing Nipsey. Always playing Nipsey. So when you think of Nipsey, I always thought about James, because James was always talking about Nipsey. And they went to school together. They went to Hamilton High School. So I used to go chill with James. Hamilton High School was literally right across the street. So he would tell me all these stories, how Laura London went to the same school, how Omarion went to that same school, all these celebrities went to the same school. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, "Yo, Nipsey's gonna make it, Nipsey's gonna make it." Then later on, Nipsey started getting that buzz. So I'm in LA. I remember one time I was in LA, I was driving through Crenshaw and Slauson, and I stopped at the gas station and I saw Nipsey. And I was like, "Oh man, that's Nipsey. That's me now knowing about Nipsey." I was like, "Oh." So now I go to James. I'm like, "Yo, James, I just saw Nipsey." He's like, "Bro, I've been telling you about Nipsey. I'm introducing to Nipsey personally." So he takes me to Crenshaw and Slauson. He introduced me to Black Sam, and Nipsey just left, and Nipsey's baby mom was at the. Everybody was at that little gallery right there. But but I'll say back then it was rugged. You know, it was more like you could tell everybody was strapped up. Comparing it now, it's like it's more commercial. And I want to say that year, 2019, when Nipsey died, I took a trip to New York. I was with my New York homie, and we was ironically talking about Nipsey. And he was like, "Yo, how was the '60s?" It was actually what you just said. How's the '60s? I was like, "Man, it's tough, so and so." And he's like, "Yo, bro, somebody just said Nipsey got shot." I was like, in my head, the first thing I said, I was like, "Yo, certain incident happened like that to Nipsey, and he had a bulletproof car, and nothing happened." I thought it was another situation like that, and then when they showed me the video on Instagram, that hurt. That, and I was in New York, and I felt how LA was hurt. You know, and me being from Brooklyn and moving to LA, and once you were in LA within 10 years, you basically LA. So I don't want to say I'm LA, but to an LA person, they'll be like, "Nigga, you LA." You know, like you've been here long enough. You know, but you get the culture. You know how to move. You know certain hats mean certain things. Like in certain state, you think a regular New York hat means Yankee hat. Like a Yankee hat means regular. But in LA, that's a whole different thing. You know, this certain neighborhood, you do not wear that hat. You know, it could be the last day you breathing. You know, it's just that culture. You know, it's sad, but it's just that's LA for you. It's sad, but that whole situation with Nipsey is just unfortunate. It's just it's just sad. I mean, and the thing is, he did a lot, and his soul still resonate in the hood. You know, you can't drive through Slauson without hearing Nipsey's song. You can't drive through Slauson without seeing the Nipsey picture. And ironically, this is crazy. I got a store in Slauson, which I was saying. I ended up being in a situation. I ended up getting a store in Slauson, and I got the T Manuel family backing me up. Like I said, if you don't know the T Manuel family, Google them. But one day I was watching one of Nipsey videos, and I'm in the store, and I'm chilling watching Nipsey video, and I say to myself, Nipsey comes out. I forgot the name of the video of the song. Grinding All My Life. Grinding All My Life. Nipsey's coming out the video, and I say, and he slams the door. I was like, yo, that looks just like the door right next door to me. Right? And I'm like, and a couple of days later, I'm like, yo, bro, why does that door look just like the door to Nipsey? He's like, bro, the door next to you was Nipsey's old weed store. I was like, how? If that's like that's like wow, you know. So to have a store right next to, literally a foot next door to the same store, that's just motivation. That's just motivation. And just keep going, keep pushing the brand. My goal is just keep pushing.
Mm-hmm. So that store right now is no longer Nipsey's weed store.
No, it's been closed down a long time ago. Yeah, but now it's an insurance, and this is crazy. The insurance guy, he's Haitian.
Wow.
So I have his contact if you're in LA if you need insurance. Yeah, he's cool people.
Okay. So what's one of your favorite projects that you've worked on as Lil Haiti?
As Little Haiti, I think all my projects are like little babies. You know, I think they're all because I put time and effort. Yeah, and I'll say this too. a lot of people looked at me crazy back in I want to say early 2019. I told everyone that I was gonna start doing music. I was gonna do like at least 20 music videos for free, and if you donate, you donate. And people are like, yo, that's a waste of time, but not knowing that I'm building my portfolio. You know, that's my game. It's like I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in Little Haiti. I'm investing in the brand. So if I take this to production companies, they're like, what have you done? What do you have to show? I have 20 music videos. You know, and the thing is, even from my very first music videos, you could see it's very, yeah, I'm gonna say it too, it's very amateur. So now it's just getting better and better because I'm getting better equipments and I'm getting nice with it. And I'm volunteering, and I definitely now I got a editing partner, YP Godchild from LA, California. Definitely shouting out, Christian brother. You know, he, definitely following. We got a lot of Christian rap. You know, there's not a people don't push that market that much, but I'm gonna push him because because sometimes people need to get in tune with the word. You know, not too much about club shaking you to this and that. You know, you get that shit get, excuse my language, that thing get tired sometimes. It's like you go on Instagram, everybody got everybody halfway naked. It to a point it's like, damn, it's like you start muting people's posts. Like I don't want to unfriend you, but I'm gonna mute your posts because I don't want to start seeing too much. Like, damn, it's like you could be somewhere and some nudity pop up. You're like, I wasn't watching porn. This is my Instagram page. So you just gotta mute these people. So it's just, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this, but but just every project is my baby. You know, I got two more projects I'm working on. The one I just filmed literally 3 days ago. I met with my boy from Brooklyn. He's been seeing me post a lot of meeting with people since I started early 2019. I met with about 7 people, and I've been filming these people, and I've been have help editing those videos, and I'm posting them. So some of the people that I knew from back in the days, as they're watching it, they're like, hey, can you do mine? And I'm like, sure. So there's times I'm in their city and I miss them, and they're like, oh man. So my boy Rod Dollar never took it personal. This time I was in New York and we never linked up, and we were like minutes away. He's like, oh man. And I was like, I said the same thing too, oh man, because it was just timing. But this time I was in Florida and I saw him post the beach. I was like, bro, where you at? He was like, I'm in Florida. I was like, I'm in Florida. I was like, what part of Florida are you at? And he's like, I'm in Ormond. And drove to Ormond. This happened 2 days ago. Drove to Ormond, brought my cameras, we filmed a music video. And I looked at the footage, and this is the thing too. He just did a video. He just had a video that's out, and it has 12,000 views. It's called Pop, Pop, Pop That, and Rod Dollar, Pop That, and it has 12,000 views. And he was like, bro, I want you to shoot my next video, and I want you to shoot it better than this, because I know you're gonna do a better job. And I was like, bro, I'm just starting. Like this is like this gonna I don't know if I can compete with that. He's like, bro, you could. And as I'm filming, getting some good shots, and I'm like, you know what? It ain't that level, but I'm getting there. From my very first videos to now, it's slowly getting there. So I would say all my videos, and my goal is down the line, from my first to my last, keep shopping them, keep sending them to music video festivals, and just get it out there. Because as I'm getting the artists out there, I'm getting my brand out there. So it's like, it's like one hand washes the other, both hand washes the sink. So we helping each other. So they building me, I'm building them. I'm here in Maryland. Nobody knows of me in Maryland. Now they do, because of you. So it's like you helping me to spread this out there. You know, so now they're like, who's this guy about? Let me tap in his page. Let me see what he's doing in LA. Now you just gave me some Maryland fans. You know, and vice versa in LA while you was out there, and when we did the thing, and West Fame, and we had that connection with West Fame. Shout out to West Fame, you know, and man, you know, it's connection. Keep going, keep pushing. That's it.
Facts. So who else have you worked with in LA?
As far as Little Haiti project,
Let's say acting.
yeah, I've worked with a few.
Now, is Lil Haiti Films just directly music, or is it also other aspects of film also?
I'll say this. Originally, Little Haiti Films was just make, make music videos and possibly films. And one day I spoke to my boy Franz, and he's always reading books, and he's always like thinking of like on some the next level. And one day he came up with this idea. He was like, "You should come up with a Little Haiti Film Festival." And I'm one of those people that once I hear a proposal that's right, and I add action. I'm a muscle action person, so and down the line it might be a Little Haiti Film Festival. You know, rent a venue, get all the videos that I film or all artists that I've connected with and networked with, and have their project played at the venue. And after that, put an ad out and just do the thing. At the end of the day, first of all, I don't think I said this. At the end of the day, it's all about Haiti. You know, because why call it Haiti? And it's exactly why. You know, when I started Little Haiti Films, and I was like, I want to start a production company, but it got to be something that's right. I don't just start anything just to start it and be like, oh, I'm gonna start it. There's got to be a meaning behind it. So Little Haiti Films, that's Haiti. You know, like I got to a point where I had to do research on my own country to find out how powerful we are as a whole. You know, but before it was just like that whole little stigma thing, like all Haitians are this and that. It made you believe it, especially when you live in America where your own people, you know, talk bad about you. So you don't think like you could do it. But Little Haiti Films is when I did research on my own country and found out we ended slavery. Like Google that. Like when a lot of countries were still enslaved mentally, like we had already ended slavery in 1804. Like Google that. Like there was Haitians on the Titanic. The Haitians discovered Chicago. You know, there's this thing. A lot of people think the Pan Africa was started by the Ethiopian, or it was started by the Jamaicans. No disrespect to either or, but it was a Haitian who started that. Like give Haitians some respect. You know, I think there's that. We don't want to. No, it's because there's something in that land that people know that's powerful that they don't want to, you know, like let people know. You know, it's like back in the days we were number one in producing rice to the world. You know, there's a story how a meteor that landed in Haiti, and that meteor consists of iridium. You know, we all know what iridium is, and we all know what it could do. Radiation, trying to get to Mars out of space, and they're trying to get to that little mountain, and some of the soil in Haiti is so rich that you could just drop something and it grows overnight. But ironically, these soils is getting poisoned. They're producing corns that's like that attracts rats. You know, originally we had black pigs, we had, you know, Haitian pigs. They killed off all these black pigs. Now we have pink pigs. What is that? You know, what's that about? So that's what Little Haiti's about. So I remember one day somebody in California was like, um, where you from? I was like, I'm Haitian. She was like, Asian? I was like, no, Haitian. She's like, what is that? And I was like, you know, at the same time, I had to not take it personal, but she's not educated. She didn't know, like, without Haiti, America wouldn't be America. You know, America would just be 13 states. We defeated Napoleon and we kicked his ass. And he had to ran back to France to cry. He was so desperate that he went to Napoleon and got 5,000 troops to come back for the Haitians. And what these Napoleons, what the Polish did, they had to change their heart. They told Napoleon, yo, get the out of here. We're going to stick with these Haitians. We're going to help these Haitians. As a matter of fact, these Haitians gave these Polish people a piece of the land in Haiti. It's called Le Plolon. And they're there. And that's why you can see, you know, the mixture of Poland and stuff like that. And they're welcome there. And there's certain countries we're welcome. You know, we went around the world and fought for Cuba, El Salvador, Ethiopia. And that's why these countries we're welcome. And that's why when people don't know Haiti, like you see this shirt, Google it. Do your research. And no disrespect, because there's a lot of people that's not educated. That's just miseducated, because I was miseducated. You know? I had to find out about my history. Then after that, I'm like, yo, I'm proud of my history. You know? So it's like, I might be one to have many jobs, that's just me. You know, that's just a Haitian person. You know, some people are like, yo, why you work so much jobs? It's like, why not? Why not have so much skills? You want to have just one skill? You want to just know one language? You want to not just be one, you want to just be one place for the whole, you know? Like, there's a Haitian, I heard a story, there was a point America was just, there was 30% of the blacks in America were Haitians. So out of 10 people, 3 people you know is Haitian. Like, that's how thick, that's how rich Haitian bloods run. Like, Google it. Yeah.
So you're saying there's been a lot of stuff, you know, saying to diffuse, you know, the Haitian influence on others, you know, and they try to, like, you know, you said, like, change the livestock out there from like the pigs to the crops and others, the resources in the ground and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of history to it. Google it.
For real. That's true. Yeah, because when you think of Haiti, you think of poor people, you think of this and that, because that's what they're gonna pump. If they want you to, if somebody wants you to think bad about somebody, they're going to talk bad about them. You know, if you don't want you, it's like if you don't want me to introduce you to somebody that can help me, you're gonna say nothing, all negative. So when I see that person, all I'm gonna think is, oh, they're poor, they're this and that. And I'll say this economically wise, yeah, Haiti, there's a difference between America and Haiti, because at a point there were outhouses, this and that. It's because we wasn't economically on that point, you know, but it was just a financial status. And not only that, the fact that in 1804, when Haiti defeated France, it's like France come to Haiti. Originally, it's not just France, Spain, England, and all of them, they come to Haiti, and Spain called Haiti Little Spain, because Haiti reminded Spain of Spain. Spain said Haiti reminded of Spain of Little Spain. Okay, so that's why they wanted the land too, and it was a way to get the slaves from Africa and this and that. But originally that land was for all Haiti until whatever happened within Toussaint Louverture, and somebody sold that land, half of that land, to Spain. So you had Spain in half side and Haiti on one side. So when you have Spain or somebody from Spain date a Haitian, Dominican, and a lot of people don't even know their history to know that Dominican, you're just a Haitian that speaks Spanish. And no disrespect, you know, I know Dominicans who's as dark as me, and they're like, no, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. I'm like, okay, that's you, But at the end of the day, a white person's looking at you like, how ignorant is that? At the end of the day, it's just a race. You're that, But whether it's human race, whatever, it is what it is. But there's a lot of that,
So tell me, what do you think about the rap game as it is nowadays? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think, the rap game has evolved to something completely different, and you don't know where it's going. All I could say is jump on it, get a piece of it, don't hurt nobody, don't expose the wrong stuff, and just get your money and just help your family. Especially for black people, like keep it black, keep it in-house, buy within your community, stop, trying to buy out your community, because at the end of the day, they don't want you, because you see they come to your community, buy you all the, all the bad stuff, then they move to Redondo Beach and they just chilling. So it's like, you need to start owning stuff in your store, in your community. It looks bad when we send our kids to like Times Square in Jewish neighborhood to look for a job. They should be coming for us to jobs. It's like another man's gonna daddy them and say, I'm gonna tell you when to get paid. I'm gonna tell you when to do this. It's to a point they'll sell their soul. You don't know what people will do. So it's like, be a man. At the end of the day, be a man of your word, and if you have a seed, take care of your seed and make that seed be great. And try to teach them about ownership. I picked up on business when I moved here. I didn't make it, before I was an actor. Then I came across business. I was like, oh, I should have took business class in college and stuff like that. So I'm in love with business. So I love people that's always talking about business. It's like, how can we evolve? What's next? So I'm learning to just have very little time with people that's not talking about changing or trying to grow. It's just like, okay.
Facts. Who are like your top 3 rappers from the West Coast?
West Coast. Well, I'll say, growing up in Brooklyn, I've always been diverse, listening to all type of raps, and I would definitely have to say Snoop is one. Ice Cube, and now I definitely got to put Nipsey, and especially with the relationship with my homie Nipsey, it's even closer to home. Now having a store right next door to Nipsey old store, so it's beyond that. The dude is inspirational. The dude was, not to say dude, but he's a king. The God, mini God in from God, from human flesh. He was great, and he deserved every respect. And I'm mad that, I'm disappointed that when my friend James, before he was murdered, when he always talked about Nipsey, that I didn't, go out there and find out, because what I later found out is that Nipsey loves people loves helping people, and that energy rubs on people. So not being around him, that rubbed on me. So imagine if that happened, it was like, that dude just, Nipsey definitely, he's a god in LA, just like Pop. Like, you can't come to LA and disrespect Nipsey or Pop.
All right, so let's say East Coast. Who's your top 3 or top rappers from the East Coast? Yeah.
Growing up in Brooklyn, it's always been Jay-Z. I've always picked up on his words way before people was just more picked it on his looks or his whatever he was doing or trying to do. But I picked up on the words, and the words were powerful. And some of the words he said back then are still motivating me now. You know, that album, Unreasonable Doubt, I play that every day. Well, not every day, but every year. And play a few songs. You know, I would definitely say Jay-Z, Nas, even though Nas lyrically, you know, on top of it, but Jay-Z is just for the motivation, get the money. Nas number 2, and three, AZ. You know, AZ is a lot of people think he's from Queens because he had that song with Nas, but he's from Brooklyn. He's low key with it. His verse is just like get low, get money, like quiet money, you know, and I'm all about that, you know, like put in the work, you know, the money comes and get low, you know, so I'm big on AZ for that. So he's like, and that's why a lot of people don't know about him, you know, some people don't hear about him because, and he's still getting this money, you know, because he keeps it quiet, you know, he's like, I do my thing and I fall back.
What's a music video that you enjoyed shooting in the past?
I would say this just happened recently. The T. Manuel family, that family's so big, they have family, extended family, and everybody's established doing this and that. But I met Byron Fresh, Byron Manuel, excuse me, from the T. Manuel, Byron Manuel. So he called me, he has a project that he's working on. It's called You Married That with Johan. And I'm now knowing some of these artists because I've been out the loop, you know, acting wise, you know, I don't know all the actors' names, so I just been behind the scenes, so I'm not, you know, knowing all the actors' names, so I'm meeting them on set. But I know Byron Manuel is related to the T. Manuel family, so he brought me, he's like, hey, come do your thing, you know, behind the scene. And he had a whole production, you know, and from there I was like, oh, let me check out his web series, his YouTube page, and I checked it out. And young kid, our age, inspirational in doing it, a close friend of Nipsey, and even like real close. You don't even know. It's ridiculous. And just doing it, and to be around that, it's just like, that's like God putting you around people doing great stuff, and you take it lightly. I don't take it lightly. I look at that and just humble, and just like, I learn. You know, you can never learn too much. Even though I've been on big set as an actor, and now I'm playing the behind the scene as a cameraman, starring little Haiti films. But trust me, you will see this bigger than it is. It's a one-man band right now, but believe you me, this will be a Tyler Perry next level, bigger than Tyler Perry. You know, not to compare to Tyler Perry, but I just look at myself. I don't compare myself to the next man. I just try to compete within myself. I look at what the person's doing, and you know, I try to do it better, and I add my little flavor in it. But yeah.